Welcome to another episode of Follow the Brand TV. I am your host, Grant McGaugh, CEO of 5-Star BDM, a 5-star personal brand and business development company. I want to take you on a journey through another deep dive into the world of personal branding and business development using compelling personal stories, business conversations, and tips to improve your brand. By listening to the Follow the Brand TV series, you will differentiate yourself from the competition and build trust with prospective clients and employers. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. Make it one that will set you apart, build confidence, and reflect who you are. Building your 5-star personal brand is a great way to improve your skills and knowledge. If you have any questions for me or any of my guests, please email me at grant.mcgaugh@5starbdm.com. Now, let's begin with our next episode on the Follow the Brand TV.
Five-Star BDM, Brand Development Masters, is a professional consulting and advisory group keenly focused on business development services for the small to mid-sized business and entrepreneurs. Although every business is unique, they often share business development challenges that can be addressed through smart branding. Services include process improvement and operations, digital strategy and transformation, business intelligence, digital marketing, and personal branding. Our business and personal branding company has helped a number of professionals and organizations to optimize and grow. This results in more business, more opportunities, better reach, positive outcomes. Visit www.5starbdm.com today to learn more.
A lot of people say the future is artificial intelligence, right? But I say the future is not artificial intelligence. The future is quantum artificial intelligence. I'm an immuno-oncologist by training, turned futurist, and now working in the venture capital area.
Welcome, everyone, to the Follow Brand Podcast. I am your host, Grant McGaugh. Today, I'm going to keep it local. A lot of times I'm traveling, I'm talking to people all over the different countries, sometimes over the world. But we're going to bring it down to Miami, Brickell, Miami, to speak. And when you think of Brickell, Miami, how can you not think of Dr. Libia Scheller? She has been an iconic figure in the world of oncology and other aspects of that whole spectrum. We're going to talk about the future of medicine, how she sees things from her lens, and how we can actually improve in our practices and things that we're doing from a technological lens. So I'd like to get her introduced. So Dr. Libia, would you like to introduce yourself?
Thank you so much, Grant, for this opportunity. Yes, hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Libia Scheller. It's so wonderful to be here. I'm an immuno-oncologist by training, turned futurist, and now working in the venture capital area.
Oh, that's interesting. That's a nice fusion of different aspects. So we're going to unpack a little bit more of your story. I was most intrigued when I last spoke with you not too long ago, a few weeks ago, and you talked about we need to understand the past before we get into the present and the future. help us understand like the last 50 years that's been going on in oncology to kind of set the stage.
Great. Thank you for that question. As you know, I've been coined as a health futurist, and it's very true. In order to understand our future, we need to understand where we were and where we are today so that we can look into the future and take advantage of those things. And, when you look at the last 50 years, it's during my lifetime, your lifetime, and a lot of people's lifetimes have been, that are listening to this podcast. And, I think it started really in the advent in our lives in the 1970s of the computer. Once we had that computer, it's amazing what everybody could do, and especially in the area of science, because like if you didn't have the computer, we never would have had the genetic revolution, which happened in the 1980s. Now, the genetic revolution for me was extraordinary. That's when the Human Genome Project was launched by our government. And at that time, you see, when I started looking at what was going on at that time, and I got my undergraduate degree at Yale in genetics, because when you're in the school and you rip the little piece of paper, it says join the genetic revolution. I said, "Ooh, that sounds exciting." So yes, if we didn't have the computer in the 1970s, we never would have had the genetic revolutions. We started looking at the genetic code of what we're made out of, and in finding that genetic code, a lot of advancements in science were made. But then immediately after that came the immunology revolution in oncology. Now think about it. An oncologist goes to school. Do they really study immunology? Not really. And so there had to be a convergence. And that's the word I want to bring out during this, the convergence of oncology with immunology. And in being able to take advantage of this revolution as a futurist, I launched and started working for a company that created certified medical education for oncologists to teach them immunology. So there's been a lot that came out in the immunology revolution, and then came precision medicine, right? So without all of these, genetic revolutions, immunology, we never would have had precision medicine. And what that is that every patient's different. So why are they giving us all the same medications? Why are the clinical trials contain all the same people instead of treating each patient, treating each person the way they should be treated, meaning what their genetic code shows, their protein profile shows. And then right after that, diagnostics started coming up, right? So I would say in the 2000s, what's happened is, MRI, CT scans, and X-rays got a lot better. And now we have blood tests to be able to diagnose cancer. However, these diagnostic tests are so suboptimal. You need a lot of cancer cells floating around in your blood so that this circulating tumor cell or circulating DNA can be captured. So you need a cancer that has a lot of cells floating around in order for you to capture them. However, today, the technology is where we are. We can look at circulating tumor cells, but the limitations are it's not as sensitive, right? So so looking at what's happened in the last 50 years, I would say in oncologists, the biggest one is, of course, the advent of computing power, right? With computing power, we were able to go right into the genetic revolution and get that genome project out where we did quite well in that area. And then the immunology revolution, now precision medicine, and now it's diagnostics, but I would say suboptimal diagnostics, because we're going to see some great stuff, and I'll talk about that in the near future.
Well, I'm excited. And, you just reminded me how far we have come. I remember in the 1970s. I don't want to date myself too much, but you weren't thinking about the personal computer. I mean, the personal computer really, got took off in the 90s for the most part. The internet, and you see all these advances that have occurred, and you just kind of pull all that together. Now, you are known as a futurist in oncology and medicine itself, but I want to know what excites you the most, that as we unfold all these different things, and how do you envision this? Let's fast forward just a little bit. So the next decade in the 2030s, what are you seeing on the horizon?
I tell you, it is really exciting times. I have to tell you, I am really happy to be here at this time during the scientific revolution here, really, because let's think about what is the definition of a futurist. What do we talk about? What is a futurist, really? And it's really someone who systematically explores predictions and possibilities about the future, right? And how they can emerge into the present. So the question is, why is it important for us to even think about like a health futurist? Well, you need to think like a health futurist because of strategic planning. Think about it. Why I became a futurist is I needed to know where I should go strategically, right? For myself in the industry, because it's, you're going to be able to capitalize on the achievements that are coming, right? Decisions on what you want to do in your career, your career jobs, areas to invest in your time and your money in. So by being a health futurist, you'll be able to see all this. But what's come up for me is I started right before COVID, started studying artificial intelligence. And I'm saying, boy, AI is going to converge, and here's the word again, into all aspects of our life. And being a scientist myself, I was excited about how AI was going to really impact all areas of healthcare. So let's talk a little bit about convergence of AI. So convergence AI, what I mean about that is taking artificial intelligence and merging it with everything like big data, robotics, the Internet of Things. These are going to be game changers, and it's going to shape the future of our world in such remarkable ways. And like from enhanced data insights, can you imagine the data that comes out to smart robotics and personalized user experiences? The potential for like positive impact is so vast across numerous industries. We should all be extremely excited about it, but then also very cautious, right? So embracing these transformative technologies responsibly, right, and ethically will undoubtedly open up boundless opportunities for innovation, progress, and better quality of life for people around this globe. But again, I'm going to stress that we take these technologies responsibly and ethically. And right now, as you know, there's a lot of issues out there with that. So we're trying to stay safe, focus on cybersecurity and make sure that AI is going to be in the hands of people that know how to use it and keep it safe for all of us. So.
Pernell Londono. I am a AI strategist. I've been a technologist for 30 years, and now I'm with Dell Technologies as an AI strategist. So happy to be here. Everybody's worrying about the practical application of anything specifically, let's say cloud. And then in the background, there is this need about understanding what is responsible, what is ethical, what is fair.
you have to do your work first. You have to research, you have to study, you have to take courses, you have to believe in yourself, and you really have to fight hard. I see concerns, but I also see that as professionals like you and I in the industry, in this space, we need to help people and society by creating policies, frameworks, and guidelines, not only for organization, but for people, because this is going to be, AI is everywhere.
So important to understand that we're just at the beginning where a lot of our new advances that we've all been enjoying or hearing about, especially during the COVID era, and then coming out of that era and what we were able to do from a platform perspective. A lot of this is writing on cloud computing, mobile compute, things like that. Now, what can we do with that and make it more effective into things that are problems that have been plaguing mankind for a long period of time?
Focus there, but I have to tell you that what's going to change the most, I would say, is the patient experience in the healthcare arena. Anything from the minute that you are scheduling to reporting the results of a clinical trial, everything from remote monitoring. Can you imagine if you have a cardiac problem, or if you have diabetes, or even if you're pregnant, or you have like a neuronal disease? All of these, you can do remote monitoring in the future and just go home and not have to go to the doctor to be tested every time. So I think the patient experience in healthcare is going to change dramatically. As you know, COVID, while we were in COVID a lot, we really got used to telemedicine, right? And then people realize, wow, this can really work. If I'm sick, I don't have to get up and go to the doctor's office, right? I can do it right from home. So that's a big area that's definitely it's changed already and is going to change dramatically in the future. The other area I would to say is the application of artificial intelligence in things like, let's say, drug discovery, right? It takes many years to discover a new drug and so on. So the new way is going to be faster, it's going to be more accurate, it's going to be less costly, right? So I will be talking a little bit about drug discovery, but the area that I'm most excited to talk about at the conference, and it's a must go to, is this. Think about it, is screening and diagnostics. Why? This is the area I'm most excited because imaging, being able to diagnose all cancers at stage 1. Just envision that. When you're an oncologist, catching it at stage 1, right? Most cancers have between 90 to 100% cure if it's caught at stage 4, except for lung cancer. It's much lower. So it only sounds like if you catch the cancer at stage 1, no one would ever die of cancer, right? I mean, so why is it that we're spending so much money on therapeutics, right? So instead of spending all the money that the National Cancer Institute has, all the innovators that are out there, why not spend the money, the time, and the effort on diagnostics so that no person will ever be diagnosed at stage 2? And give them a 90 to 100% chance of a cure. So I would say that, being the health futurist that I am, I've been 20 years in looking for drug discovery and looking at new treatments in cancer. And now I am changing because the advent of AI has totally changed the ball game. And now I really believe that all these competitions that are going on around the world, people that are applying for grants and so on, we really should give preference to the age of screening and diagnostics. So I will bring up a couple of things during like some futuristic finds that I have found, but just to peek one little thing for you. I have found a blood test that can diagnose ovarian cancer at stage 1. Now,
Wow.
at stage one, it's 90%, to 100% chance of a cure. So can you imagine how many women a year die of ovarian cancer? It's horrible. So with this one diagnostic test, right? And so this is in development. It's not here yet, but all of these are going to be, converging together, and trying to find new ways in that we can pick up the cancer. So that's my area. I know that I myself have evaluated a few of those companies working in those spaces, and I'm certain that we're going to have an explosion of diagnostic tools in the coming years. And
This is important, as you just stated. We're saving lives here, and it's changing the game for the positive. How we can detect these things earlier, so you don't have to go through the process of treating cancer for the long term or certain stages of growth. Now, you mentioned something I'm very, very interested in. Let's take a look, because anytime you introduce something new into an ecosystem, it automatically changes other things like a domino effect. Help us paint the picture of the oncology market itself. As you alluded to, hey, if there's heavy emphasis on therapeutics, there's not as much on diagnostics. I mean, how would that should what paint a picture for us how you see the oncology market looking in the near future?
Sure, sure, sure. So let's start with you walking into oh wow, every day, what are you going to do in order to keep your health well, right? And so most people right now think about, I'm going to go to a doctor, I'm going to go to my yearly checkup and see what I have. Well, that's not going to be the future. The future is not going to be that way. You know what's going to happen? You're going to have your own breathalyzer at home. And you're just going to blow into the breathalyzer and it's going to say, you may have X cancer, right? So just because of things like that, because this is not a diagnostic, but much of a screening gadget, right? You would then have to find a way in order to go to the doctors and then perform, right, another test that will say, yes, you actually do have cancer. And how advanced is it? So you need a second level of test, right? So many of these tests are going to be you just call up a number, right? And or just do it on your computer. A robot answers and they schedule your test. You don't even have to see the doctor or anything because you've already had, a confirming screening test, and the insurance will pay for a second one to verify that you have it. So can you imagine that if you have this screening ability, that the payers won't have to pay for all that support that you will need when you have advanced cancer? Here, you don't even have a symptom, right? And you don't even know you have it or you have anything, right? And so then when you go and you get your blood test and you get the results very quickly, you have cancer, and it's most likely going to be very early on. So when it's early on, there's different ways of treating those kinds of cancers in today's world. In today's world, you're either going to get a chemotherapy, maybe a targeted agent or an immunotherapeutic agent, and so on. But in the future, they're going to be able to take your cells along with whatever treatment it is, and they're going to tell you what you will respond to instead of giving you whatever agent possible. So if you catch it early enough, right, cutting it out of your body surgically is one of like the best options that you get in stage 1 by just taking it out. And then you don't have to get the chemotherapy or targeted agents. But targeted agents, let's talk about those. Targeted agents means they looked at your DNA and they see that you may have a specific anomaly that nobody else has. So they may be able to target it with a specific, right, entity, right, that will target your own cancer. But we have to remember, cancer is very smart. You hit it in one spot, it's going to upregulate in another spot. So again, you're going to get a certain kind of treatment, but it's going to be focused on what your needs are, not in general what the tumor type is, right? So here's the other thing that's incredible is that, let's say you get surgery. You're going to be able to get surgery, but you will not have to what do you call it, go home. You'll have a whole monitoring system. You won't be having to stay in the hospital. They'll just monitor you while you leave the hospital. You have a whole monitoring. It's almost like a jacket that you wear, and it monitors all your vitals and everything. So if anything is in a wrong place or any level is not right, your doctor will know. And there'll be nurses and doctors monitoring on the other end. The other thing that is going to be happening is that in order for you to see that, let's say you're clean after your treatment, there is now, and I know of a few companies that are developing a circulating tumor cell assay that can determine whether you have a circulating tumor cell or DNA in your blood by a minute amount at stage 1. As I mentioned to you before, circulating tumor cells, you have to wait for them to be bulky and lots of cells floating around. Now the level of sensitivity using artificial intelligence and all can determine, so in such little sample can determine a lot of information. So you will have remote monitoring in the sense of your blood analysis, like, oh, your cancer's back, or not,
Yeah.
So this remote monitoring along the way, and you just don't have to go to the doctor all the time. So a lot of these gadgets that you see, and I call them gadgets, these bio gadgets, are incredible what they do. So I'm really, looking at that. And then some patients might want to go on to a clinical trial because there's some exciting treatments in a clinical trial. So now think about it, with the use of AI, there's going to be AI software that will be able to, if you're a company trying to do a clinical trial, they'll find the patients for you. And they'll develop a diverse population, meaning it'll break all the barriers when it comes to, what colors your skin, what your age is, also your social economic backgrounds, your access to have, these treatments for all patients. So, the whole clinical trial program is going to be totally changed with the advent of AI, if it hasn't already. And then there's going to be a whole program on surviving cancer, meaning the doctors will be prescribing for you like wearables that you will be noticing what your nutrition is, how your emotions are doing, because it takes a lot of stress for a patient to, once they finally know they have cancer and they have to go through this treatment. And then the, support. And so these wearables that people are using, everything from a ring to a watch to a girdle to whatever it is that they'll have, they'll be able to monitor from far away. And if something comes up, the red light goes up, and then, you can do about it. So early diagnosis for me is the most exciting thing that's going to happen in the area of oncology. So that's what the office is going to look like in the future.
Grant McGaugh, CEO of 5-Star BDM, is turning heads in the healthcare and information technology sectors with his groundbreaking approach to personal branding and business development. By challenging conventional strategies, he's setting a new standard for how executives present themselves and their businesses to the world. McGaugh's expertise isn't just about standing out. It's about strategic guidance, generating leads, and building networks that propel executives beyond their competition. His focus on authenticity allows leaders to leverage their unique stories, driving exponential growth and success in their industries. Beyond branding, McGaugh is a fervent advocate for diversity, equity, and inclusion in the workplace. He's committed to helping organizations cultivate environments where innovation and collaboration thrive through inclusive cultures. And for those eager to dive deeper, McGaugh hosts the Follow the Brand podcast. Here, he unpacks the intricacies of personal branding and business growth, offering valuable insights for professionals eager to redefine their identities and share their narratives with the world.
I tend to operate more in the vein of what are we doing as an enterprise, as an organization around our goals and our strategy, taking that first, and then looking more broadly across that stack to say, okay, where do we have gaps in the technologies that exist today? But more importantly, where do we have gaps in what we seek to achieve where technology is not going to be as efficient or as adequate as is necessary to meet those targets? So passionate about this space. And again, I've had the great fortune to have had some wonderful mentors and leaders in my time that I've learned so very much from. And I really seek to do the same and to give that back. I love mentoring and seeing people grow. Building those high performing teams is where I really find my greatest value and contribution.
I love the early onset diagnostics, the real-time monitoring aspect, and the precision. So important. And I see this from, and you mentioned that you're into the finance world as well, as that how you save money. I mean, right now, the healthcare industry as a whole it's almost unsustainable from an economic standpoint. They've got to find ways to reduce costs. These are ways, what I'm hearing from you now is a key disruptor. These are could be major disruption in how the healthcare in the oncology world is delivered to patients, and then they get a prescribed something that's personalized directly to them. And they kind of know instead of that trial and error, that's what I'm listening to you say, instead of just trial and error, you pretty much have a level of certainty of outcome as opposed to, well, let's just wait and see what happens and try something else if that doesn't. I like these things. Now, as a disruptor, think about this, Dr. Libia. What you just painted for us a future, and then what you see as the current delivery model and all the companies that are involved in all these things and the entities, the government that's involved, the systems, the facility, all this could be potentially radically different in the future. How do you see this all playing out?
Yes, yes, yes. Well, I have to tell you, the future, a lot of people say the future is artificial intelligence, right? But I say the future is not artificial intelligence. The future is quantum artificial intelligence. And here we have convergence happening again. Artificial intelligence, right? Quantum artificial intelligence, what it is, it's the marriage of quantum and AI, right? And people say, oh my goodness, there's something else I have to learn. Well, not really. Classical AI has made remarkable strides, right? As I mentioned in recent decades, it has its limitations. And this is very important for us to know. We've learned about the limitations that we have with AI, the requirement to process vast amounts of data simultaneously or to explore numerous populations all at once, you need quantum, right? So quantum will allow the ability to perform parallel computations and tackle problems that would take classical computers eons to solve. So the future, right? The key disruptor was artificial intelligence, but we have realized that there are limitations. So the key disruptor that's happening right now in the near future is quantum. So quantum and AI, so I call it QAI, and you'll be hearing a lot about this you hear it all over the news now about this key disruptor. It's going to inform how we tackle future problems. Can you imagine computing all this data that's going to come out of everything from fintech, everything with the banks, everything from health, everything from neurology, everything like art? The data that all of this spews out is going to tell us how people think. What are they doing? What are the best cures? What's the best way to go about this? And so having quantum there is going to show us an enormous amount of trends that we were not able to see before. Can you imagine the world of marketing? Oh my goodness, that's going to open up a can of worms, right? Because you're going to know what people think. So I really believe that quantum artificial intelligence is going to change the way we do things as the human race. Why do I say this? This key disruptor is going to show that we've been so bogged down doing menial work that as a human, we shouldn't have to do. Right? You know, when you look way back in the day when it comes, you're culturing your, let's say you're growing corn, you're working hard in the fields and so on. Well, there's machines that can do that now. Some people say, well, I like to garden. Okay, that's one thing. But if you have a career of some sort, do you want to be bogged down with all of this menial things between typing, making slides, giving a talk, all these things? With quantum artificial intelligence, you're going to garner an enormous amount of information, and the future is going to be a lot closer than we think. Quantum artificial intelligence is the key disruptor of now. So let's all take front of the curve, right?
We're in the midst of it. We are in the midst of what I have talked about in some of my talks previously as a renaissance, meaning moving from information technology to intelligent technology. This is a huge game changer. You know, a lot of us have all been familiar with Star Trek and Star Trek series. We've seen Star Wars. This is all coming out of the human imagination. But now our imaginations, things that we daydreamed about, are becoming very, very real. And what is that going to look like? So a lot of people, especially if you were born, let's just say when we started this discussion, the 1970s, you have gone through a lot of technological change just in that 50-year period of time. And if you were even older than that, you're in the baby boomer stage, you could be 67 years old. You're like, wow, I remember when television just first started. And then now look at the disruption of how our economies have changed just from a invention like television, or look at the radio. And then what you really talked about, computer, because of now computer, we're able to tackle those problems in cancer that we could never do that before, because now we understand the human genome. Now, there's a lot of people that are still concerned, like, is this going to displace me? Is this going to replace me? Is this going to totally disrupt, the entire industry, how I do things by day to day? And I honestly have to say yes, because if you look at how you did business 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, what were you doing before mobile compute? What were you doing before social media? Yeah, all these things will change things, but our people, and that's what they would ask you. I'm going to take the face of my audience right now, Dr. Libia. What's in it for me?
Yes, one of the things that's going to be very important for every person is you need to read. You need to study what is artificial intelligence and think about what it is you love to do, right? Let's say you like to garden. Well, it's interesting. You could use artificial intelligence off your computer as like, how do I keep these bugs off my whatever, So whatever it is that you love to do, well, guess what? The way it's being done today, yes, it's going to be displaced. But we need to remain very flexible. Why? Because you will not be doing the menial jobs that you did before that bogged down that area of study. Let's say I want to speak right now to the oncologists out there. A lot of people are maybe not going into being a doctor anymore because they say, oh, you're going to be replaced. I tell you, this is not true. You need a human in place for sure. However, doctors need to learn more technology. And here we have, like I said, the revolution of genetics and then the revolution of immunology. Here we have the oncologists who didn't know immunology. Now there's going to be a convergence of medicine and technology. So if that's the case, the curriculum that you see today in medical schools is changing right now. I just saw a college that a school that showed their curriculum. It doesn't look anything like it did in the past, because the past was, how do you diagnose that? And then what drug do you give them? Now it's not that way at all. You really need to learn technology as a doctor in order to stay current, right? And many doctors are getting out of their practice because they don't, the people who are in the 60s, 70s-year-old, that they're like, yeah, I don't want to learn a new whole revolution, a whole new technology. So you'll see a lot of doctors are selling their practices, right? Because they don't know how this is going to affect them, which gives room for a lot of the younger people to walk in and really start practices that are really with great innovation and so on. So if I could say anything to the oncologists out there, read, study your technology, stay on top, in front of the curve, be that futurist, because I'll tell you, it is so exciting to be a doctor right now. And well, not just a doctor, just anyone using artificial intelligence. Life has become a lot easier for us. But then at the same time, it's become easier in some aspects. However, we are now part of the information age. We really need to read, stay on top of the curves, look at those trends. So, as we embark in this, exciting journey, we really need a collaboration between lots of different people, right? In order to move the bar. So we really need to have the policymakers in hand, the industry leaders, the technology experts, right? We need this collaboration. It's going to be critical because, harnessing the full potential of this convergence for the benefit of humanity, right? We need all hands on. And for instance, the way we do clinical trials today is so suboptimal and should represent our population. It doesn't. And we need to push the regulators to approve more diagnostics for cancer and to give the patients so you give the patients the best fighting chance, right? And we need to get these payers to agree to cover these diagnostic tools, right? So through collaboration between these visionaries and the various stakeholders, I know that we can harness a full potential of this convergence. And I really know that we can create a brighter and an AI-driven tomorrow if we all do that today. But we all got to work together to get on that quantum AI track.
Exciting time to be in digital marketing with the advent, the explosion of generative AI chatbots. They're better known as ChatGPT. There's Bard, there's Claude, there's all kinds of this new one came out called Gemini. There's so many different tools that really what it comes down to is that it's made my business more precise. I can do things more quicker, I would say, and to elevate my brand messaging to a level that allows me to be as creative as possible. digital market economy is taking the world by storm, probably over the last decade or so, but is really escalating now in the advent of AI, because it is a game changer for a lot of businesses. It's not just all the big boys that can play in this space because of cloud computing, because of mobile computing, and now you have these tools at your disposal. You've got a laptop, you've got a computer, you can now digitize yourself to a level and get your message out there, and that equates to business.
Follow the Brand TV broadcast host, Grant McGaugh, as he visits with top executives and entrepreneurs to find out their secrets of success with their personal brand. Follow the Brand TV broadcast host as he focuses on brand development to build better relationships, bring value to your business, relationships, and career. You will enjoy listening to each episode that is tailored to speak to you directly. If you're looking for this type of clarity in terms of building your brand, you have tuned into the right station. Each episode will help you to shape a conversation in the 5-Star BDM network of 20,000 professionals and become a springboard for your corporate engagement and business opportunities. Each guest will frame their story in the areas of personal branding, business development, career development, financial empowerment, and technology innovation. Grant McGaugh explains why he is the CEO and owner of his own professional career. Grant is an accomplished business leader and entrepreneur who wants to give back to individuals to grow their personal brand strategy. Tune in as he weaves his story about new possibilities, while to you exceed expectations. If you love storytelling, this show will make for fun.
Man, I'm with you. I'm with you. And I applaud what you just stated. I've been utilizing, you call it generative AI now for the last couple of years, and it has exponentially improved or increased my own intelligence because of the speed that I can get answers, where before it would take me a lot more time, a lot more research to get, it's not like the machine is thinking for me. It's just giving me what I need quicker, just like a calculator, right? Right. But the calculators didn't replace math, as far as I know. You still got to, you got to still understand math. However, you can get the answers quicker. And that's what's so important. And you can communicate much better, as you alluded to when you talk about it from a marketing standpoint. I understand my client better. I understand my students better. I understand what's happening because we're all within a context-aware fabric that we call the internet. That's now evolving because it's been around for 25 years, and that fabric is evolving rapidly. And now we have a mesh network of intelligence. And when you just alluded to the quantum factors of all this is all helping us to evolve as a species to be better, and how we can take care of ourselves and let go of some of these smaller, I love how you said that, the tasks, those menial, I don't know anybody, I just love data entry. Don't you love, let's go do some data entry. I mean, not too many people. Wow, can't you just put it, get it, put it in there for me? Or so it comes pretty automatically. So some things do need to be automated. But I love also how you said you cannot take the human out of the equation. There's still, like right now, we're talking, we have a technological platform between us, but it's the human to human interaction that has the power, that has the exponential growth, And as we share knowledge and we share ideas and we share things, we all get better. I love this. So before I let you go, Dr. Lee, you've got to let the audience know how to contact you. And before that, you mentioned something. I don't think you really doubled down on that, but I want to get that out. You mentioned something around, I think it was finance, fintech, health startups. What are you doing in that field?
Yes. So, okay. So, I have two companies. I am the founder and CEO of Miami AI Ventures. Miami does not really stand for Miami, Florida. Miami stands for we are masters of innovation, acceleration, monetization, and investments. So that's what Miami stands for. And we do mostly business development. We help a lot of startups take their ideas and make them look attractive to venture capitalists and to raise capital. I have to tell you, I got into this arena, which is very different than everybody else. Most people go to school and they get their MBA and they become a venture capitalist, right? Or they go into business. Me, I became a scientist. I'm an immuno-oncologist, launched many drugs in my lifetime, had two biotech companies and exits. But I love innovation. And, what's happening now is that I've changed my thoughts and I really want to go into the venture capital world because of the advent of AI. Venture capitalists don't understand science. So when I see a company they don't even know how potent this is going to be, not only in their area, but all over the world in other areas. I know that as a visionary, I can see how that innovation can be applied in other areas, which makes that company then much more scalable and much more profitable. So being a scientist and now turning into a VC, so I have an MBA as well, and in international management of science. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do my own convergence. I'm going to converge the areas of oncology, immuno-oncology. I'm going to converge them with AI, quantum AI as well, and venture capitalism. Why? I really believe that the making of a venture capitalist, if you come from a scientific background, gives you an edge in this arena. So this is why I'm looking at all things AI, not just in the healthcare area, but I'm very passionate about healthcare. That I did start my own fund with two of my partners, Future Fortune Fund. It's a $50 million fund where we're raising capital to invest in these really incredible, some of the companies that I've mentioned a little bit to you about on this podcast, and some of the companies I will mention in the future. And, and if you're someone who likes to invest in something new in the future or want to get involved in futurism or involved in how you can better study the future to make decisions for today, be happy to talk with you as well. So,
Oh man, I tell you, you got the quadruple threat there. That is wonderful. Love your brand, love what you're doing. It's very exciting times, very exciting. So what is the best way to get in touch with you? I'm sure a lot of the audience will be tuning in. They'll look at this and like, all right, I gotta send her a note. How do you do that?
sure. Yes, I'm on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is my favorite platform. People from all over the world reach out to me to give talks on the future of medicine, but also future of different aspects. One of the areas I did not talk about on this webcast is I'm very passionate about longevity medicine. We're all focusing a lot on our health, right? This conference that we're going to is about disease, right? We already have the disease and we often forget about prevention. So I've become what a lot of people out there call a biohacker, but I do call it, instead of biohacking, I call it longevity medicine. And there are quite a few things that you can do, take, feel, experience that can really mobilize your stem cells in your own body. Like, for instance, eating chocolate. Eating chocolate mobilizes your stem cells. So certain foods that you eat, certain things that you think yoga, different parameters, things that'll keep us healthy, not eating processed foods, all these things that will be part of our future. A lot of people are taking it serious now, but in the future, you'll see there are wearables coming out that you can test your own blood to see if you have all the desired elements that a blood test from your doctor today will not test. Why? Because it's the payers that govern what they test in you. Well, you should be able, I want to know is my vitamin D too low? Why do I have to go to the doctor for that? So you're going to have your own tests, and there's a lot of order tests that are going on now that you can do this right now, but a lot of these are going to give you solutions on how to fix it, and it's all remote from your phone. You'll be able to do that, and your wearables. So longevity medicine is another area that is really hot in the future. I really think that all the doctors that are out there that decide to go into a field, I think longevity medicine is where it's at.
We need to get our arms around it. What you just discussed today is, we call it mind-blowing, but we all know, because where we're at now and our experience level has grown, that this is not so far off. This is something that could be right around the corner the next 18 months to 24 months. We're just doing these things. And by the end of the decade, it's just commonplace. So this is a true game changer. I want to thank you again for being on the show. I want to encourage your entire audience to tune in to all the episodes of Follow Brand at 5-Star BDM. That is the number 5, that's star BDM, and that stands for branddevelopmentmasters.com. Thank you so much again for being on the show.
Thank you so much.
Man, who's your favorite podcaster? Man, Grant, man. I love Grant's podcast. Well, who's Grant? I'm going to send you the link. I love Grant.
Tune in for our next show or click on our website at www.5starbdm/followthebrandtv. Thank you. Ready to build a 5-star brand that stands out and captivates? Discover the art of crafting a strong and memorable brand identity. From choosing the right colors to making your brand unforgettable on social media, we guide you every step of the way. Learn how to design a brand that resonates deeply with your audience, ensuring they not only remember but love your brand. Whether it's enhancing visual appeal or mastering social platforms, we have got you covered. Dive into the world of impactful branding with us and see the difference. Follow the brand for more insights and expert tips. Don't just be seen, be remembered.